It's the weekend and you're ready to go on a date. What is the connection between this fruit, dates? Has Sushila gone nuts? Why is she talking about all these things? Confused? Don't be, because we're going to be discussing about an investment banking topic, a hedge fund topic, and a corporate actions topic, that is key dates. Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this 7th video, we're going to be discussing about key dates in corporate actions. Corporate actions, you must know these three things about corporate actions. Okay. The first one is what are the different types of corporate actions. The second one is what are the important dates in corporate actions. And the third one is what is the entitlement ratio. How do you interpret the entitlement ratio? How do you interpret the swap ratios? These three things, if you know, definitely you can clear the interview at a fund accounting firm or at a corporate actions firm, because these are the key elements of corporate actions. The first thing is the types. The types are of two, voluntary and mandatory. I've already uploaded a video on the voluntary and mandatory corporate actions. In fact, I've made detailed videos on each of them, including interpretation of rights, etc. I'm sharing the link of each of these videos in the comment section below. The most important thing in understanding the processing, now we are going to be working in processing of corporate actions, and we have to know what is the interpretation of the dates of corporate actions. So let's understand these dates, not the kajur, not the evening candlelight dinner, but the actual physical real calendar dates. Okay, the first one is the announcement date. In some markets this is called as the declaration date. The second one is the X date. The third is the record date, and the fourth is the pay date. Let's take a live case, okay, and then analyze these dates. Be rest assured, these questions will definitely come up, if not in your interviews, in your written exams for any of the fund accounting firms, interviews, exams, etc., etc. Okay, so please be prepared with these things. The first one, do you recognize this company? The square with four colors, right? If you don't recognize it, then check into your phone, check into your laptop, check into your PC, and realize that its apps are what we have been using for the last 2 decades. Indeed, this is Microsoft. So Microsoft, example we will take about how Microsoft has announced a dividend in this year. On 29th of November 2022, Microsoft Board of Directors announced a quarterly dividend of $68 per share. Okay, so let's understand this. No use being theoretical. We have to be practical about many things in accounting. Accounting is not a theoretical subject. Finance is not a theoretical subject. It's live, it's energetic, it's moving, and therefore, let's understand these dates. The first thing you have to understand is how the date is written. In American markets, the date is written in the format of MMDDYY. So the interpretation is the date is 29th of November 2022. Okay? Unlike in Asian markets, where the date is written in DDMMYYY format. Okay? The second thing that you have to know is the announcement of dividend per share. Okay? The dividend per share is announced, which basically means that a shareholder is entitled to dollar per share. Unlike in many of the accounting books that we have learned about how do we calculate percentage of par value as the dividends, in this case we'll be discussing about dividends per share. So the percentage, it's a dollar value per share, or the rupee value per share. Okay, so these two very unique methods of announcements come up in the case of corporate actions. Please note it down. The first one is the date in the method, the format, and the second one is the DPS, or dividend per share. The X date is 15th February 2023. The record date is 16th February 2023. Now, these three items are there in the announcement. Does that make the announcement complete? Okay, the first one is the announcement date is there, the X date is there, record date is there. Does this make the announcement complete? No, not at all. The announcement is not complete because the most important thing is missing, and that is the pay date. The pay date is 9th March 2023. Okay, I have deliberately written the dates in this format, in this announcement, so that we get used to this, we get familiar with this when we are reading a Bloomberg screen or when we are reading a Reuters screen and we are processing corporate actions. This is the way in which the dates are mentioned. Okay, announcement declaration date is the date on when the board of directors makes the announcement of the corporate actions. This could be a stock split, this could be a rights issue, etc. But the board of directors is the board of the company, and that communication has to be told to the shareholder, who are external entities in the ecosystem. Who else needs to know about this announcement of corporate actions? The first one, the announcement has to be made to the registrar. The registrar is also called the transfer agent in some markets, and the registrar is responsible for maintaining records of shareholders' names, holdings, as well as what are their entitlements on every single day. These transfer agents are extremely important to the ecosystem of corporate actions because they are the ones who are going to actually make the calculations and keep it ready for the processing. The custodian is the holder of shares of large hedge funds, large mutual funds, large HNI individuals. Okay? And the custodians are the ones who have to go through those records, go through the Bloomberg screens and find out the entitlements. Okay? And they are acting as custodians of extremely large pooled funds. And it is their responsibility. In fact, corporate actions is the major responsibility of the custodian to help them gather details about the shares, about the dividends, about the entitlements, about the dates, etc. The third entity is the filings with the stock exchange. The stock exchanges have to be informed about the corporate actions because everything about the stock could change because of the corporate action announcement. For example, a stock split, the ISINs would change. So, there are so many things that happen because of a corporate action, and therefore the board of directors has to also inform the stock exchange on which the security is traded. And finally, media news agencies like Bloomberg or Thomson Reuters are entities who flash the news. Okay, and because they're news aggregators, they have to know about the declaration date. So these are the four entities that need to know about the announcement. The first one is registrar, custodian. The third is filings with stock exchanges, and the fourth is the news agencies. It's not in any particular sequence. It's a simultaneous release across all the entities. The second one is the X date. The X date, as you know, X means does not include over here. It means it excludes. The date on which the stock traded does not include the entitlement. It's a single date. Okay? The stock starts trading X dividend, X split on that particular date. The date on when the date on which from which the stock does not include the entitlement. Okay, let's go back to our Microsoft example. You remember the dates? The X date was 15th of February. Let's take an example. Ronald Bump buys Microsoft stock on 15th of February 2023, which is the X date over here. Would he be entitled to the dividends? The answer is clearly posted in the comment section below. Okay, I need to know your answers. If he's buying on 15th of February, would it be an entitlement? Would he get the entitlement? 15th of February 2023 is the X date. If Ronald Bump buys the Microsoft stock on 14th of February 2023, will Ronald Bump get that quarterly dividend? Will he become richer via the quarterly dividend if he buys it on 14th of February 2023? Do post your answers in the comment section below, and I will be seeing your comments to know who of y'all are going to be answering this question. The third one, record date. The record date is the date which is locked in. Okay, and all the shareholders, their names, their details, custodian details, holdings, etc., are captured by the registrar. In the American markets, the registrar is called as a transfer agent. In some organizations, this transfer agency job is done in house by the corporate itself. But now, because the ecosystem has become so large and so fast moving and so operationally driven, most of the transfer agency jobs are outsourced to professional transfer agents. And finally, the date on which you're going to get that payment. The company pays the entitlement to the securities holder, and the shareholder becomes very happy because they're getting richer, or they're getting more stocks, or they're getting stocks of a more profitable company, whatever is a corporate action that's announced. To recap the entire video in one single slide, the first date is the declaration date, the second date is the X date, the third is the record date, and the fourth is the pay date. The declaration date is the date on which the board announces. X date is the date on which it is traded X entitlement. The third is the record date on which it is recorded for calculation of entitlements. And pay date is when the shareholder is jumping with joy because they get so much more payment. Thank you everybody for watching this video. All the very best for your interviews, and keep learning, keep growing with me. Thank you.